What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I am Corey Inscoe again with you today, which means David is still frolicking around the Myrtle Beach area, and just he's decided it's summertime for him. He's just going to play at the beach and forget all about us here. So I'm filling in once again. No, actually, he's having way less fun than it sounds like. So he's not having fun at Myrtle Beach. I'll say that much. But he's gone again this week. So unfortunately, you're stuck with me. But we do have the one, the only Matt Swift here with us. How you doing today, Matt?
I am doing well. Corey, how about yourself?
Doing pretty well. Feeling pretty good after a nice long weekend and a pretty exciting match we had this weekend against the Fate Queen City. So feeling pretty good about things right now.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's tough to feel good about a draw.
Right.
We could have won, but I do feel good after coming out of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll dig into it, but that if we're going to start with the kind of overall takeaway, and I feel like it was pretty universal from the people I talked to. I think we even said it in our text group chat that we have. I think before the game started, we'd all be happy with a 1-1 draw. That's a result that we'd all be happy with. The way it happened hurts a little more. Very easily could have been 3 points out of that one. Yeah. But when you take a look at that match and say we've got Cincinnati coming in and say that we're not going to start either of our DPs for legitimate reasons, they're not starting, and we still come out of there with a 1-1 draw, I got to feel pretty good about that result.
Yeah, I just think there's a kind of a new feel to this, even though basically we gave up a lead and we tied a game, which was kind of our MO last season. It just feels different this time. It wasn't that we played horrible. I thought we played really, really well. And something to think about before we kind of kick off this show is that we played back to back to back road games. 2 of those were in Canada, right? Mm-hmm. You come home and then you have to play the best 2 teams in your division back to back. So, all things considered, the fact that you have your DP injured, you finally get your second DP in for this match. You don't even have your third one. We've had all of these injuries. Like I said, it feels different, and it's okay because we played well. And remember, Corey, like I think you've said this a couple of times, I believe. It's not about necessarily the results early. It's about the style of play. It's the intent. And we are seeing that. And I think that is the big, big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get into this a little more, obviously, when we start breaking down the game in more detail. But I'm with you. Like, if you had told me at the beginning of the season that we'd walk away from these past 2 matches against Columbus and Cincinnati with 4 points, I would take that every day of the week. I mean, absolutely. And really could have been 6, but like that's just how it goes sometimes. But taking 4 points from those 2 matches after 3 tough road matches, all the things you talked about, I will take that. I'm going to throw you a curveball. This is what I like to do when I'm in control over here. But I'm going to go and jump to a reader question or a listener question, I should say, because it actually hits the exact question you just asked, and it came from our good friend Jay, and it's, why does giving up a goal late this season not seem as detrimental as years past? And then he kind of asked, like, should we be concerned about those? Because that was such a problem they had, especially last year, where they would concede late and lose or draw so many times from winning positions or just losing points late. But you're right. It doesn't feel the same. And I think there's a lot of, the energy around this team, the way they're playing, the way it's happening. It doesn't feel like the same kind of, oh shit moments that we were having last season. But what are any thoughts on that before we kind of dive into the game?
No, I think you answer that pretty well. It's just a matter of it's just a different mindset. I don't feel any despair or, oh my gosh, we're in free fall now. Oh my gosh, we dropped these points. It's very early in the season too, and we've seen such great progress. And again, all the factors that I just spoke about a little bit ago. I just think it's different now. If this starts to be a trend, yes, let's start getting worried again. But like I said, it just feels different.
It does, and I don't want to give up or don't want to leave out Jay's second part of his question. He asks, "How many more games before we streak as the hottest team in MLS?" And I'm not gonna try to jinx it, but I don't know. Like, it's this team feels like it's moving. I said this when I was chatting with Russell Varner, our good friend on Threads, and it just feels like everything's trending the right way, and I can see some really fun things happening with this team as we get into the summer here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the folks at MLS too just put out their new power rankings, and we moved up yet again. I think we're going to get a lot of respect for what we just went through in these two home games. Um, the
Yeah.
refereeing issues aside, I think both games we took it at the best two teams in this league.
Hmm.
We beat the defending MLS champs, and then we just drew the defending Supporter Shield winners from last season, who who came into this game only conceding 2 goals. So, uh, very good stuff.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
No,
Before we get into it, I realized we're matching for
that's
people
right.
watching on YouTube. I didn't realize we were both wearing the mint tonight. We didn't coordinate this. Just a happy accident that we're both wearing the mint tonight. So
That's
so
right.
there we go. All right, let's dig into it a little bit. Let's start like we typically do with the starting lineups. We saw a couple changes, or at least one change.
Yeah,
With Petkovic getting this was his first start, right?
that's right.
For the first team,
Yeah,
correct?
that's correct.
So we have him in the midfield with Gianni and Westwood. The same front three we've had and the same back four we've had. Other than that, but what were your thoughts on the starting lineup when you saw that? When you saw that?
I was a little surprised. I found this out
Yeah.
right after we got done doing soccer and coffee, so I was like, "Ah, crap! Not great timing." But no, it's a pleasant surprise. I think Dean Smith even said that last match, Pekovic came in with a lot of energy and was able to go forward, and I could see why the scouting team likes him. He's good on both sides of the ball. So for this particular matchup, I thought he was well suited. And again, we've talked about this before. Now we're in a position where our coach can look at who we're playing against and start moving pieces
Hmm.
around. You were talking about being excited for the season, how this is all different. That's part of it. Is now we have
Yeah.
these pieces, right? And so Nikolai, who is young, played for Crown Legacy, but is able to step right in and contribute. And I thought he played decent this game for
Mhm.
a first time starter. I think he'll only get better, but yeah, uh, very cool to see him get his start.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention beyond just the starting lineup. What struck me looking at this, looking at the roster for this match was the bench. And I
Mm,
think I even heard maybe it was on the radio broadcast or somewhere, like just the talent that we had on the bench that could come in that second half, depending on what we needed, whether we need to be more attacking, more defensive, whatever it was that we felt like we needed to bring on. Like,
yeah,
first of all, I mean, both DPs are a big part of that, but even beyond the two of them, I was like, oh,
mm,
okay. All of a sudden, I'm kind of seeing the depth of this team start to come together. Being able to bring Bronico in finally this season and some of those things, I was like, wow, okay. And now I'm starting to see how this team is building out, where the talent lies, and some options we have in different places. Still need some help in others, but it was kind of interesting to look at the bench and be like, oh, there's a lot of options there about what Dean can do depending on what he feels like he needs to do in the second half there.
isn't it kind of cool that we were playing the defending Supporter Shield winners in the first half, and you have your DPS on the bench, and you don't necessarily need them, right? That's kind of cool, right?
Right.
And to
Yeah.
your point, we had other folks on the bench that could come in and contribute. Ben Bender will be back. Brandon Cambridge will be back.
Yeah.
We still have that pipeline with Crown Legacy, and as you've seen,
Hmm.
last season they can come up and contribute too. So also too, guess what else we get? We get another DP soon. So
Right.
there's a big smile on my face. So uh, nothing but sunshine over here. I'm super excited about
Yeah.
what we could do this season.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start talking about the actual match. First of all, it only took one kickoff this time, so that was a nice change of pace. We kicked the
It's a
ball off
plus.
once, and the game started, and it was cool.
Yeah, Corey, no problems with the kickoff this time. The refs have been paid, and he was actually pretty. I thought he was actually pretty good Saturday night, but We will start the
Yeah.
action in the second minute. Westwood plays a brilliant through ball to Vargas, who is running on, but unfortunately skies this over the bar. It's a bright start, but it is very indicative of what is to come the rest of the night. And that is
Yeah, I would
constantly
like to
blasting the ball over the over the goal.
I would like to formally put in a request to raise the goal about 4 to 6 feet, just a little bit higher, because we would have won like 5-0 on Saturday if the goal was just a little bit higher. We'd had a great night.
Yeah. I mean, that first chance really did kind of set the tone for the rest of the night. Brilliant
He did.
build up, brilliant ball
Yep.
through, like I said, from Westwood. Just on the night, we just could not finish. And that is what ultimately bit us in the
Yeah.
butt. But yeah, that happened in the second minute.
Yeah.
So good start, like I said, uh, and then in the like the 14th or 15th minute, uh, Privet had another good early chance. He does really well. He gets up into the final third, wins the ball out of the air. It comes down to Dahahare, who lays it off to him, tees him up, and again he just blasts this thing into the upper deck. So in the first 14, 15 minutes, I mean, this could have easily been 2-0 in the first 15 minutes. Um, but
Yeah.
again,
I have a little more grace
wasn't meant to be.
for Privet because yeah, I have a little more grace for Privet because he's playing in a center back. I know he's naturally a midfielder, but he's playing as a center back. I'm not expecting him to smash in a bunch of goals. So that's fine. The Vargas one, I really like Vargas. I want to preface everything I'm saying by like I really like him. Man,
Yeah.
he needs to find the net. Like he needs to see one go in because it's been just he's had the chances this year and it's been a struggle. I mean, not saying like the chance he had was easy, but boy, I would have liked
Yeah.
to seen a better shot off of that chance.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's starting to be a theme game after game after game. And
Hmm.
somehow you've got to break that. But yeah, just he keeps missing chances. And we'll talk about, I think there's some questions later about, certain people missing chances and everything like that. But he's definitely one that I want to highlight later too, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
he did do something pretty great. It was like 4 minutes later too, after he missed or after Privet missed his shot. Uh, Patrick Agamane had a shot saved. It was great work down the right side. Vargas puts an excellent ball in, but Big Pat's shot was denied by the goalkeeper. Again,
Hmm.
like very early on, three huge chances that just didn't find the back of the net. So. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the theme of the night. But I want to say the first 20, 25 minutes we played really, really well. Something that was happening, and I want to highlight this person. Nathan Byrne was getting up and down that wing really, really well, getting into the final third,
Yes.
putting great balls in. He's someone that last year I was not sure about, especially
Yep.
early on. I really like Jalen Lindsey and was wondering why he was on the bench. This season, though, and I would say the end of last season and especially this season, Nathan Byrne has really, really come into his own and has solidified that right back. As much as I love Jalen Lindsey, it's going to be hard to get him out of that spot,
Yeah.
offensively and defensively. And I could see why the front office really likes Nathan and why they took a gamble on him, and I'm glad that it's paying off for him. Nathan's a good guy, and it's really, really good to see him playing well right now.
Completely agree. I mean, I'm the same way. This year, he's impressed me so much with the way he played and had some huge moments in this match as well too. But all season, he's been solid back there, and that's been really exciting to see. And I mean, again, the whole back line. I mean, if you'd have told me that we'd still be sitting there with Privet as one of our center backs, you know, I'd be a little nervous, but he's been incredible also. Like that back line has been huge this season.
Right.
And the way we've just played as a whole team defensively, because I'm terrible at remembering details of games. This is why you come along and tell me what minute things happened in. But I kind of just my general memory of that first half was outside of one closer in chance. I feel like most of the chances for Cincinnati were just long shots out of the box. I mean, they were just kind
Yeah.
of firing some hopeful long balls that they got pretty good strikes on, but Swiderski was there for it. Or not Swiderski, wow. But Kalina was there for it. But yeah, it wasn't like they had a ton of really dangerous moments. And I think that's a credit to what our defensive game plan has been and the way the players are playing back there. Really outside the goal we finally go for the end of the game, which we'll get to in a little while. But I was just impressed with the way the defense has played.
I think what has really helped the whole back line is not having them do too much stuff.
Yeah.
I think, we said this a lot last season, was just keep it simple. Let them play their position. And I think that has really helped. Nathan Byrne doesn't have to worry about if he's going to be playing left back or right back. He's going to be playing right back no matter what it seems like. So he can focus on that. He's not being asked to do anything special, right? Just straightforward play, getting down the wing when possible, just playing solid defense. Andrew Privet is another person that is really benefiting from having to not drift into the midfield to clog that up and being asked to do all these crazy things. And it's just insane to think about. And I don't want to go down this road too far, but we had a coach who has a brand new rookie on the field playing out of position. And then on top of that, you're asking him to do all these extra things. It's just asinine. But we don't have that problem this year. They're playing in their natural roles. Andrew that's his position. So it's just
Yeah.
nice that he's able to do that.
So I have a question. What does it take, or what would it take, for them to stop calling Privet a midfielder on the starting lineups? Like he's just a center back now. Like that's where he plays. You said this a second ago. Like he's
Yeah.
the center back.
Yeah.
Can we stop calling him the midfielder when we do
Yeah.
this? It's confusing in the starting lineups. We're not playing some kind of weird like 3-5 situation. Like he's a center back. This is my I'm just
Yeah.
making a
No,
lot of proposals to the team here. Like this is my second one of the day. Raise the goal. Call Privet a center back. Let's get this going.
yeah, no, he's made that position his, and kudos to him, man. He's had to fight for that, and he's done well, and he hasn't done anything that would make me take him out at this point. So yeah, all good stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So anything else in the first half you want to talk about? We talked a lot of the early chances. Anything else that jumped out to you first half wise?
Yeah, I think after kind of like the 25th minute, Cincinnati started kind of working back into the game. There started to be a little bit of gaps in the midfield. Acosta was able to finally get onto the ball. I
Mm-hmm.
thought we did a really good job early, but there were a few chances where he found the ball in open spaces, which you never want,
Oh
and
yeah.
he created a couple little chances. So again, I felt like we turned off just a little bit. Um, but I say all that, and then we had another chance in the 27th minute. So this one comes from Pekovic, who we were talking about earlier. He picks the ball up, drives to the middle. Cincinnati's like, "Hey, what's happening?" And they just kind of like fall off of him, and he just keeps coming forward and forward and forward, and then he shoots. And guess what, Corey? Guess what he does with it? He puts it over the bar. So
Good.
again, um, yeah, that might be the title of this episode. A good chance. The thing
Yeah.
is, we keep creating chances, and we created chances all game. The announcers even mentioned it.
Yeah.
Expected goals this game, same thing. We just didn't convert.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've talked about it here before, and again, sitting in this my section, the guys I sit around, we were all saying the same thing. Is like, yeah, we don't have any goals right now, but the chances we're creating is so much better than it has been in previous seasons, and that's encouraging to me. I know
Yeah,
it hasn't paid off in goals, and there's, it's okay to be frustrated with that too. Like I get it, we should have scored more than we have at this point, but like to me, as someone who again is just really focused on like how is the team playing, what are we building toward, how are we looking, we're creating a ton of chances, a ton of really good chances, and not just like fluky shots and fluky goals. It's like there's nice build up play, there's really nice passing, there's guys making the right runs. Like it's all moving the right way, and eventually those goals will go in. Like we'll start scoring some of those, and we'll be in really good shape. So like it's right there, and it just feels at least to me, it feels like, I don't know what the actual numbers say, but it feels like we're creating those chances that we haven't done in the past. And that to me is a huge improvement to what we've seen in previous seasons.
We are fifth in all of MLS in expected goals. That's not just our division. It's all of MLS. We're fifth. So again, very, very encouraging. That is something that we weren't even in the ballpark of fifth last season.
No.
So very good early signs. But again, what we got to do now is just finish these off. And again, that kind of bit us in the butt this game. It was a difference of winning this game and drawing this game, but the
Right.
chances are there. And that's something that we've sorely missed the past 2 seasons. So,
Yeah, I mean, it felt like in past seasons, even when we did score, it didn't necessarily come off, always the most amazing play. It was something, like I said, I kind of called it fluky a second ago. Like it was just something would bounce the right way. We get a little lucky. There'd be a mess in the box and we come out with a goal. Like it felt like we scored a lot of goals that way in the past. It wasn't because of a beautiful buildup. That was more the rarity that we saw in previous seasons. But now we're seeing that. Now we're seeing that play, and we're not seeing the payoff. But that'll come. I mean, again,
yeah,
that will come. I'm not worried about that at all. It's we're still only 6 matches into the season, so it's a
yeah,
long season. As we get Abada playing, starting matches, having his firepower out there, get Copetti back in, and Patrick continuing to play like he is. Like there's those goals are going to start coming in, and it'll be a whole
that's right.
different ball game, which will be a lot of fun. So again, it's all positive. It's looking up. I'm excited about how things are looking at this point.
Same.
All right. Do we want to? So it's 0-0 at half. Anything else in the first half? Or we good on the first half? We want to move into the second.
Now let's move into the second half.
All right. So we're tied 0-0 at the half. And unless there's anything earlier than this you want to talk about, I believe early in the second half we had yet another amazing goal scoring opportunity that didn't didn't come out for us. So what was that? The 53rd minute, I believe that Patrick had a nice little chance there, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, it was like 53rd, 54th minute. Pekovic again plays this brilliant ball over the top. And
Mm-hmm.
to Patrick's credit, I don't know if any other player could do this because he takes on Matt Miazga, Defender of the Year, by the way, last season. I think it was last season, yeah. Muscles him off. It wasn't the easiest take. I mean, he's having to fight for his life to win the ball. But
Mm-hmm.
again, he doesn't get it on frame. He needs to send that ball across the box, right? Or across the goal, opposite direction. But he just, the thing is like these chances that we took Saturday night, we just didn't even get them on
Right.
frame. That's the
Right.
thing, because you never know what's going to happen. Get a rebound, who knows what's going to happen. But uh, to not get these on frame was disappointing. But again, Patrick does a really great job. Pekovic again, the young
Mm-hmm.
kid comes in, plays that brilliant ball. He should have had an assist there, and Patrick should have had a goal. But again, another golden opportunity wasted there.
Yeah, you made a good point there by talking about this. It's not like we're talking about just missed opportunities where it was saved or the shot was too easy for the keeper. I mean, yeah, we're missing by feet above
Yeah.
and to the right, and these aren't close. And so that's, if there's any worry, it's that. But again, I think that's something that we'll see improve. But yeah, I mean, these are just not even close on frame, because yeah, like you put it on frame, anything can happen. Either whether it's a
Yep.
rebound, whether it's the keeper's out of position or whatever it is, things can happen if you're putting
Yep.
the ball on frame, and we just weren't even coming close to it with a lot of opportunities, which was frustrating. I mean, you could tell they were frustrated. I mean, like you see
Hmm.
Vargas and Pat and all of them reacting after. I mean, they're frustrated. It feels like it's a I don't know what the word is. It's just that it's a bad habit we have right now of this happening to
Sure.
us. But yeah, I'd love to see some of those because yeah, then we're talking about being up 2, maybe 3 goals early in the second half, depending on how some of these bounce, and that's an entirely different ball game than what ended up happening.
Yeah, because after that, I really thought Cincinnati kind of again got back into the half. There were larger gaps in the midfield that were coming open as we were getting tired, as the game was getting stretched.
Mhm.
Cincinnati had some more opportunities again getting into the game because we didn't kill it off early, and they were
Right.
able to hang around. But we do get our shot in the 58th minute with a PK call that could have gone either way. Who
Yeah.
knows? But we did get the call, and I like what Westwood did, which was grab the ball, stand at the penalty spot, and just take the heat from the players and the goalkeeper, who I think took his water bottle and tried to spray the penalty spot because he's a jerk and he needs to shave that ridiculous ass mustache off his face. Um, just it just bothers me. Anyway, so but no, I like that he kind of took the heat and then at the last minute handed it off to the Frenchman, who I was shocked took that because it's no secret we don't know who our penalty taker is. Apparently, there was some competition of who was going to take this, and I loved that Gianni stepped up. He didn't stutter step. He didn't do anything extra. He just blasted this damn thing right in the middle because most keepers will dive to the left or right. So it's a
Mhm.
little ballsy to just hammer this right down the middle. And that's what he did. And uh, Cincinnati's goalkeeper with the stupid mustache chose the wrong way. And we were winning 1-0.
I will
I
agree
really
with
hate that. I
I
really
love
hate
it.
his.
I love that you're getting on this. This makes me happy. I will agree with I really liked how he took it. He took it confidently. He didn't
Yeah.
I believe it was Phil and you were saying on our last episode, he didn't twinkle toes it or try to get cute. He got out there and banged it in.
Yeah.
I It
Yeah.
does take a lot of courage to go right in the middle because you look real dumb if the keeper stands there. So it's
Yeah.
kudos to him that for
Well,
going for it and taking it confidently, and he knew what he wanted to do, and he took it, and that's what you got to do. And so I appreciate seeing that. I will say I was not thrilled before it. I don't know why. I mean, again, he took a nice one, but like when I saw Westwood take the ball, I thought, okay, if we're gonna have captain's gonna take the PK, and this is what we talked about last week. Either him or the striker, whoever it is, like one of them should be taking it. Like that's fine. And then he handed it off, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like I hope
yeah.
this goes well, but like you've got to be kidding me that he's not taking it. So this still worries me that
Yeah.
we seem to not be settled on
I
who's going to be taking those kicks. I would like for us to just decide this is our penalty kick taker, but I'm glad it worked out for us this time.
well, I did hear that was part of the plan for Westwood to kind of,
Mm-hmm. That makes
you
sense.
know, take the ball and then hand it off. But yeah, I think we might have a set penalty kicker for right now until something else happens. It's typically not your number 6 or number 8 that's going to step up and do that, but usually it's your number 9, maybe number 10,
Yeah. Yeah.
usually someone else. But hey, whatever works. I don't care. We're 1 for 3 now. So I don't really care who takes it as long as they get it on frame. Like, come on,
Yeah.
at least do that.
So,
Um, so yeah, so we are winning 1-0, and
yeah.
everything looks
I
golden. Yeah,
I do want
go
to
ahead,
jump
go
in
ahead.
and say because I was watching the replay before this just to again refresh my memory because I have terrible sports memory. This is just the problem I have. I go to matches or I watch things on TV and I experience it all at the same time. But if you ask me later what happened, I've got very broad strokes. So when I have to come on and host, I'm like, all right, I got to refresh my brain on what actually happened in that match because I was there, I watched all of it, but goes out. Um, but what I thought was I pay attention to this a lot, and I don't know if I overthink these kinds of things. But watching the replay of the PK, the first guy over to celebrate with Gianni. And I know we're going to talk about this player a lot more in the Q&A section because there's like 20 questions about him, but was Copetti. Copetti was over there
Mm,
immediately grabbing him, celebrating, huge smile on his face. And I just think like when someone who's had such a tumultuous experience with this team so
sure.
far, like I read a lot into that, and I might read into it too much. But when I
Same.
see a player who's had his struggles, maybe not seemed like he's happy playing for this team, or whatever in the past, or maybe that's not fair. Maybe just had struggles, has had attitude issues, whatever you want to call it. Seeing him immediately running out, celebrating with his teammates, being happy when he's not
Yeah.
starting, like was a really cool moment for me. I'm like that speaks to what this locker room feels like right now, or at least what it seems like from the outside. That these players really, are enjoying their time, they're enjoying each other, and they like, the way things are going right now. So just wanted to point that out since I saw it just a second ago.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Again, this team is different. The attitude's different. I think these players have bought in, not just with the coach, but with each other. I think again with Capetti specifically, he's got another year here, and I think things are just a little better for him right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I read into that too, Corey. You're not the only one. So I'm there during warm-ups and seeing who's kicking with
Right.
who and who's doing what. So yeah, I read into all of that. Maybe I shouldn't, but I certainly do.
I think it shows something. So um
Yeah.
I don't know if they did this on purpose. I'm sure they didn't do this on purpose, but I did love the timing of what happened in the next moment. Is we're
Yeah.
celebrating the goal. Everybody's going nuts.
Yeah.
We're celebrating the PK goal, and immediately Abada is subbed in, and so the celebration
Yeah.
just continues to see him run through the field. I thought that 2-minute moment there of the PK being awarded, the PK being taken and scored, and then Abada coming on for his first time as a Charlotte FC player was a pretty awesome moment for the fans there.
It was almost perfect with Abada coming in right after that goal because he immediately gets into the action. It was great that he's here and was
Yeah,
able to play Saturday night in front of the home fans instead of, next week when we're on the road. But yeah, he comes in right when everybody's super exciting. He gets a huge ovation. He immediately gets into the action.
yeah,
His first drive with the ball, like my whole body was tingling and I was
yeah,
like, "Holy crap. This is what we've got," because he
yeah,
stiff arms. Abada is a small guy, right? He's not a
yeah,
tall dude. He's very skinny. He's very fast. He was stiff arming Murphy from Cincinnati, who's a big, tall dude, right?
yeah,
He was able to dribble the ball, stiff arm this guy, and control the ball. Murphy had to foul him like 3 times to find. What I liked about this, Abada didn't go down easy either.
yeah,
Murphy had to foul him like a couple of times to get him down, and he ended up getting a yellow card, but I'm just like, "Oh my god." I literally my whole body, like, I got goosebumps. I was like, "Oh shit. It's on. It's
yeah,
on, dude." Like, and I thought he played great. Yeah, you know, he did have a chance later that we'll talk about, but some things came before that. Yeah, Capetti and
yeah.
Urso also coming to the game
Mhm.
with fresh legs. We got the lead. It's 1-0. I think I did like those subs. Ultimately,
Yeah,
it didn't pan out, but I think Patrick was tired. You put in Copetti to run and keep that back line at bay, right? As Cincinnati's starting to come forward, you put in Junior Urso to kind of shut down the middle. I really
yep.
like the subs. Uh, we said I was going to wait to really grade Dean Smith when we played Columbus, but I really couldn't because the refereeing was so god awful. But this game, I'm able to really see more of what Dean is about and how he's going to utilize what he has at his disposal. I really like the subs. I really like the timing of the subs. Again,
Hmm.
ultimately it didn't pay off, but I really like what I'm seeing from Dean Smith. Um, yeah, and again, it's just so refreshing to have these options now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked from the minute to minute action, but
No,
yeah, it was really
I
really
mean,
cool to see.
I totally agree. I mean, I really like what we're seeing, and again, just seeing who we're able to bring off the bench. And some of those, like obviously, you're going to see like Abada's going to start, like that's that's good. But then, and then obviously Capetti's likely going to start. I mean, we'll see how things play out this season. But he's the DP. You expect him to be
Mm,
the starter. But even if you flop
sure.
that sub, being able to bring on Patrick in the 75th minute
Mhm.
to be a change of pace for the back line when they're getting tired. I mean, that having that opportunity either way that you look at it is really nice. And yeah, bringing on somebody like Urso to shut some things down or whatever it might be. I mean, there's some really good stuff there. And again, yes, it was hard to kind of judge Dean on the first few matches because we were shorthanded a lot of times. We didn't really have a lot of depth on the bench. There weren't a lot of moves to make, but seeing kind of the way we've done the past couple matches, I feel really good about it. And I'm glad you pointed out to kind of go back to the Abada thing, like his first touch and first real action of the match. I had the exact same
Yeah.
reaction because you
Yeah.
bring in the big signing and you're expecting big things immediately, but a lot of times it doesn't really. It takes a little while for them to get settled in, and he's still very early. It's probably going to take him a little while to get settled in, but like when I saw him take that ball and just charge, I was like, oh, here we go. Like I'm ready for this. So that was fun to
Yeah.
watch.
And right after that too, we're talking about DPs being on the field. We had a connection with Copetti and Abada on Abada's chance, and again, you're kind of like, "Ooh, are we seeing the future of Charlotte FC here?" Um, Copetti does a really, really good job of getting the ball to Abada, who dribbles forward. I think there was a little bit of a bobble there. Abada's leaning back a little bit on the shot, skies it over the goal. Shocker. If he would have scored that, I was sitting in the vault, so it can't be as wild, but I literally probably would have taken my shirt off, ran to the field. Like I was so pumped up about seeing him play. Um, but ultimately, yeah, it didn't come off, but it was good to see that link up. And again, could be something that we see in the future. So that's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Place would have exploded. The place would absolutely exploded. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I'm glad you
Yeah.
pointed out Capetti. I mean, Capetti, the way Capetti played that and laid it off to him was really well done by him too. So that was nice to see. I'm excited to see how they kind of grow together as a pairing there. But yes, again, had some, like you said, we had some chances in the second half there. Again, continue to not be able to put them away.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
eventually it bit us. Do we want to talk about the Malanda little scuffle with Bupins there at all, or do we want to skip over that little fun part?
No, we could talk about that for sure, but, we before the Cincinnati goal, we missed another opportunity. Vargas misses yet another chance with a tremendous ball to the back post from Junior Orso. Again, Vargas is I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know about Vargas at the moment, honestly, like, and I hate to say this, if this continues, you might wanna look at another option. I don't know what to say. He's got to start doing better. You gotta get these
yeah,
shots on target. You gotta start setting up assist. Vargas is a tremendous player, don't get me wrong,
yes,
but he's just I don't know if his confidence is low or something, but something's gotta
yeah,
give. Tavares Tavares did not start, did not play, I think in part because of his lack of defense, and that's not a huge knock. Again, I kinda go back to who are you playing? What's your
right,
personnel? Tavares is very good going forward. Defensively, I don't think is as sound as who we had out there. But going forward, if we have Abada, we're always talking about who's going to be playing on the other wing. It is
hmm
that do we leave Brecht out there? Is it Tavares? Is it Vargas? Like something's got to give, and Vargas has got to start taking these chances, or the coach is going to be like, okay, you've had enough chances. Now you got to sit and let someone else have their turn. So it's going to be
yeah.
interesting to see what happens with him.
I do. I think what you said. I've been wondering if it's a confidence thing too, because he feels like I don't know if streaky is the right word, but it's the word I'm going to use. He feels like when he's
Yeah,
on and he's got that confidence and he's just firing. I mean, he's got all the talent. And when he turns
yeah,
it on, he
absolutely.
gets it on a roll. It's amazing to watch. And I feel like he's missed some opportunities. I don't know if it's, yeah, a confidence thing or it's a little in his head, or he's thinking about it too much. And he's not just getting out there and playing. But I hope again, I really like him. My preference would be he gets it together and he starts out there opposite of Abada. Like that's what I would like to see. But
Yeah.
but if he doesn't, if we keep missing these opportunities, you're right. It's going to be time to experiment a little bit with that lineup and see what makes sense over there.
Yeah, same. And I think streaky is very correct. If because the thing is, if he gets one, he's going to get a lot. He's going to start
Hmm.
catching fire, and you're going to see that from him. But keep in mind too, he's been playing more on the right. At
Yeah.
halftime, we did switch him back to the left. I noticed
Hmm.
that. I think he's more naturally should be playing on the left. But we'll see. The season's early. At least he's getting in good spots to create these chances. He also picked up a yellow card, which was the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. He basically jumps in the air, gets thrown into the goalkeeper, and somehow gets a yellow card called on him, which was crap.
Yeah, and
Um,
that
but the yeah,
watching the replay, he got like body slammed. Like the way the bodies ended up
yeah,
flying, because this what I'm thinking the same play, I think, but like so I think he only ran into the keeper one time. But yeah, like the way the contact happens is he jumps up, he gets pushed into the keeper, and the way the keeper lands, like lands on top of him, like Vargas is on his back, and he gets body weight fully on top of him. He just got body slammed into the turf, and
yeah.
he got a yellow. Like I don't understand how that happens. That doesn't make any
It
sense
was
to me. But I mean, I know that they
it was so
protect keepers and all that, but that just
yeah.
felt ridiculous.
Yeah. But again, yeah, he's someone that just he needs a goal so bad, and I feel horrible for him, but
He
yeah,
does.
he's gotta start taking advantage. So, because
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to talk about the scuffle or you want to talk about the goal next.
I don't know if there's much to say about the scuffle. I was just looking at my list of things and I saw the Bupenza yellow card, and I just didn't know if we wanted to discuss that at all. Again, looking at the highlight reel, someone was complaining that Bupenza shouldn't have gotten a yellow card because he was just coming over to check if he was okay. I was like, I don't know how you look at that and see that he was coming over to check if he was okay when he
Oh,
clearly like shoved him to the
okay,
ground. But that's a whole nother
yeah,
thing.
it's like my brother who's like 10 years older than me. He's like, "Oh, you okay?" and just pushes me down again. I'm like, oh, "Okay, great, thanks, dude."
Yeah. Yeah. So he was not
Um,
a fan
no,
favorite at that point, but he did get he got the last word, I guess, especially to my corner of the stadium. He had a few choice words for my corner of the
I
stadium that
saw
you could
that.
see on the like you can see the replay. I mean, he was getting a lot
Yeah, I
of
believe he told some.
salutes, I'll say, thrown his way from our corner of the stadium. But he had some words for us as well too. But yeah, we could talk about that final goal of 2 minutes into stoppage time, I think it was. Again, let me just say one more thing. I don't know how he had 8 minutes of stoppage time in that second half, but either way,
I
2 minutes into it,
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of shocked about it. Again, I thought the referee did on the
he
night
did.
a very good job, so kudos to MLS paying your referees, and I think
Yeah,
the referees were very much on their P's and Q's coming back, but, yeah, 8 minutes was, kind of a head scratcher, but,
yeah.
the uh, and there's been a lot of debate about this, what set this goal up, and I think we have some questions later about it, but, um, on the other end, we're driving forward. Copetti has the opportunity to pass it or shoot it, and he does neither. Cincinnati is able to get the ball. Um, and here's the thing: I've seen people blame Copetti, and I was certainly angry at the time at him for not shooting, because if he would have shot, it would have stopped the play. Whatever he could have scored, it could have went to the keeper. He could have skied it over the bar, which would probably been other than scoring, probably the better option at that point. But here's the thing though too: when that ball gets turned over, we are very very committed going forward, especially on the wings.
Hmm.
And this ball gets played out, and there's acres of space on the wings for them to dribble down. Um, Malanda also lets a runner get in behind him, right? Who actually ends up receiving this ball. For whatever reason, Privet and especially Yeri are overcommitted to the middle, and they're in the 6-yard box. And maybe I need to go back and watch again. I'm not sure why they're in that deep,
Mm-mm.
and Cincinnati's just able to literally just dink the ball over, and the guy has a free go at goal. It's a calamity of errors, which could have all been very preventable. So yeah, so it wasn't just Copetti's fault, right?
No.
You still have to defend that. You still have to be mindful as you're going forward. I think it's at the end of the game. We're tired, and we just overcommitted, and we're pinched over too much on defense there, and we
Yeah.
ultimately paid the price. So, but yeah, Capetti's got to shoot the ball. You got to
Yeah.
have a little more sense and know where you are and what the score is and time. And I just don't understand why he didn't shoot the ball. So, but he didn't. But that's,
Yeah.
again, you got to defend it though too. So it's not just his fault.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is, again, seeing things live, and especially with the cluster of bodies around Kalina on that goal, it's hard to tell in the moment what exactly happened. But watching it back, I gotta say, the touch by Yedlin to set up the goal was a thing of beauty. I mean, I hate to say it, but like the way he just kind of flicked it back behind him just to put it right on a
Yeah.
platter was pretty nice. So, I mean, it was there's a lot of mistakes made also in the defending, but without that little touch by him, this probably gets covered up or at least cleared or knocked out for a corner or something. But he put a nice little touch on it to set it
Yeah.
right back up in the middle for Bupinza to bang in. So that was nice. But yeah, there's not the best moment for our defending after we talked so highly of them earlier in this show.
Yeah.
Little rough moment there to give up the late goal and give up the turn it into a win into a draw, but yeah, it was a nice little play by Yedlin there. So I did want to point that out.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of ball watching there
Yeah.
at the end, and you have a wide open player in the 6-yard box, which how do you do that? So again, but the defensive play has played very very well all season long. So um, it's tough when you get down to a couple minutes left and you've been running all game. But again, if we would have buried the chances that we have, it doesn't matter if Copetti doesn't take that shot. It doesn't matter if they come down and score that goal because
Yeah.
we probably should have been leading that game, 2 or 3-1 at that point, even if Cincinnati scores there. So again, there was a lot of you know post game chatter about Copetti, and he seems to be a player that you either really really like or really really don't like. And there's a lot of hot takes and heated
No.
arguments around him. So, yeah. So, and that's the thing. Like, if you're going to, and I've been extremely critical of Copetti, and I was very angry that he didn't take that shot. He's missed a ton of opportunities, but so has Patrick. So
Hmm.
has Vargas. Vargas, I think, even more so. So, if we're going to really throw some blame around, you got to start looking at some of these other players too.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I kind of go back and forth myself on it. It's like you're also a DP.
Yeah.
You got to do DP things.
Yeah.
He's also somebody that's got to score. That's what you're paid to do. So, um, but again, on the night though, all things considered, we went toe to toe with one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league,
Hmm.
and should have won. Got a
Hmm.
point, and we move on from there.
Yep. Got a point. Puts us at 8. Puts us in what looks like ninth place in the East. I know it's really early to look at standings, but again, I would say overall
4 point.
too, like this is something we've talked about. Yeah, 4 points off the top. Cincinnati up there with
Yep.
12 points. They haven't
Yeah.
lost yet this season. 3 wins, 3 draws for Cincinnati. So yeah, I mean, I can't feel bad about it. And again, correct me if I'm wrong here because I haven't actually gone back and looked at the actual numbers. But I mean, for us to have 8 points in 6 matches, compared to what we've done the previous 2 seasons, it feels like a pretty darn good start, and with a lot of room to grow from where we are against some good competition again too. It's not like we're playing the bottom of the league right now. So
Yeah.
positive things
And
that I see.
yeah, if you go back, I need to do the math again. I did the goals allowed for the first 5 games, but if you
Mm-hmm.
look at the first 6 games, I think last season we'd given up like 10 by now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're at, I don't know, like 5 or 6, something
5.
like that. So it's a yeah. Um, so a big difference there, and I think that's been really the big difference is our defense. We're still struggling offensively, but defensively, we're just so much more sound. And I think our midfield is a lot better too. And I think Westwood
Absolutely.
is a big part of that. And then, of course, this new signing, Jibril Gianni.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, let's think back to like some recent signings. You have Yeri Urunen, and then now you have Gianni. Like,
Yep.
what amazing pickups that people were
Yep.
like, who are these guys? Okay, I guess they'll be all right. And it's just been lights out, in my
100%.
opinion.
Yeah, no, your point on the goals against, I'll point that out too, is I have it in front of me. Yeah, we've given up 5. Only that's the same as Toronto FC has given up 5, and the only 2 teams in the East, at least, who've given up fewer are Atlanta United with 4 and Cincinnati with 3. So yeah, I mean that's a huge part of what we've seen so far. If we convert a few of those other chances, that's the difference right there. So the defense and midfield have done their part to hold things down and prevent other teams from getting a lot of opportunities. So that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Any
Two
anything?
other little stats. Yeah, 2 other little stats, Corey. Always like to look at fouls and yellow cards and everything like that. We are 3rd in the league in yellow cards. I think the Columbus game kind of helped us get up there a little bit. But also, too, more importantly, we're 4th in the whole entire league in accurate long balls.
Hmm,
Which is really, really good. And again, not just Eastern Conference, all of MLS.
yeah,
But I think we're mixing it up this year, trying different things. So I thought that was a nice little call out.
no, that's good. That's good. And again, it's fun. Like you talked about expected goals earlier. Like it's I don't know. It's kind of it's nice to have that confirmation that it's showing up in the numbers too. Like I've felt that way watching the team just by pure vibes of watching the team.
Yeah.
So like it's good. It's
Yeah.
good to see that I'm not just glass half full, seeing it in my head, that it's showing in the stats and in the numbers that there's a difference in the way this team is creating chances and getting the ball forward. So that's good.
Yeah. And you look at the opponents too. And again, 5th in MLS, not just Eastern Conference, the whole entire league. You look at our competition, you know, Toronto, who we probably thought was not great at the beginning of the season, has turned out
Right.
to be an amazing team. So we've played them. Vancouver is not half bad themselves,
Right.
right? And then Columbus and Cincinnati. So I feel pretty good about like where we are, how we've been playing, the competition we've been playing, and where we are in stat wise. And again, like I'm always overly optimistic, but I don't know. The numbers are matching up my ridiculous optimism now, I guess.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm with you. All right. Anything else before we dive into some fam questions?
No, let's do some questions. So, guys, before we actually get to the Q&A, I want to talk to you about an event that we have this coming weekend, April 6th. We are going to be at Salud for our live show in Mint City Collective watch party. It's going to be fun. As I've mentioned before, Mint City Collective is rotating their big watch parties this year, and we are at Salud this weekend. And Jason, the owner of Salud, is nice enough to let us come back to our roots and do a show there. So we're going to be setting up, and like we said on the show before, we're going to pick a couple of you guys out of the crowd and have you on the show for a little bit and chat. I think Chico who's I think listened to maybe 2 episodes of like 112 that we've done. He said he's gonna hop on for a little bit. I think Joe Emerson is gonna hop on, Jeff Eklund, I believe, too, and so we'll get some more folks. We're going to do a pregame show. We'll do a little mini halftime segment, and then we'll do a postgame show. So plenty of opportunity for you guys to hop on, and looking forward to that, and just looking forward to being back at Salud. So be on the lookout for some social media posts with more information, and we will see you guys Saturday.
All right, let's dive into these fan questions. Even though I already did one from Jay earlier in the show, we'll dive into the rest of them now. I'm probably gonna have to skip a few of them just because we got a lot, and we want to get to as many as we can, though. So let's start with Donnie. Something we've talked about a little bit already. Donnie chimes in and says, "We've got to finish, yes, but there's got to be some positivity around the chances we're getting match after match. And to average over a point per match those first 6 games is super encouraging." I feel like we've talked about this a lot already, so I don't know if there's anything else we want to add, but got to agree with Donnie here again, looking at the chances and looking at the points we've accumulated, even when we haven't, converted some of those chances. It's a pretty encouraging time if you look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, think where we are in the table right now with the points that we have, and then think about what could happen as we start putting these in the back of the net, because we're going to keep creating chances. We have 2 DPs now. We're going to get a third. We're going to get even better, like we said at the very beginning of this show. So yeah, lots of positives here, because
Yeah.
this is gonna start paying off.
Yeah. Let's not forget too. I mean, not to keep harping on this. I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record if you keep letting me host and David keeps not showing up. But again, I wanted to focus on how this team played. But you got to remember too, this really felt like a total reset of a season, right? Like not
Mm.
only new coach, a lot of the same players. I'm not saying it's a total, but you get rid of, you move on from 2 of your DPs. Including one who's been here since the first season, or both. I guess both were there from the first season, right? It's amazing how much I've forgotten in 3 years. It's ridiculous.
A lot
My
has
brain,
happened though. That's the thing.
a
A
has
lot has
happened.
happened.
A lot of player movements, but I mean, you get rid of Swiderski, who was the face of the team for the first few years here in Charlotte, and then you move on from József. You go from, you have just the one DP in Copetti, and then you're adding pieces on top of that. You have a new coach and a new system. Like, who knows what to expect? I think like I came in expecting, I don't know what the points are going to look like, but let's just, let's show positive momentum. So to be where we're at with that all in mind, I mean, I gotta feel really good about it. So again, I don't know if I'm in a good mood on this Monday or what it is, but I feel good about things right now.
Well,
All
also
right.
too, Corey, don't forget. I mean, we had a player that passed away, right, to start
Yeah.
last season, and then we had 2 players get involved in some off the field ridiculousness, and we had to move them on. So we don't have that going on this season either. So
Yeah.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Again, another one we touched on a little bit, but I'll bring it up here to chat about if we want to any more additionally. So David Kelly asks, who do you see for the left wing position? Is getting Vargas back over there the thing he needs to get back into the form we were excited for at the beginning of the season? You touched on this a little bit. I guess if you kind of had to put on your prediction hat goggles, I don't know where I was going with that. If you had to make a prediction, um, do you think Vargas stays there long term, or do you start seeing some experimentation, someone else come into that role as we get deeper into the season?
No, I think with Abada in the squad now you got your right wing. Now Vargas can move back over and be a little more comfortable on the left. The good thing is too, though, you do have the option if Abada's not available or we need a sub, you can move Vargas back over. You can bring in Yuri Tavares. So again, all good stuff. But I think, yeah, getting Vargas back on the left and playing there consistently will benefit him greatly.
Yeah, agreed. Related question, but expanding on it a little bit from Matt Chantry. What is your preferred front four? So wingers, striker, and cam when everyone's healthy, which we're getting to that point now, which is nice. So what's your preferred front four there?
Man. So a little awkward, I guess. Like I prefer Pat up top right now. I just
Yeah.
do. I don't know. I know Enzo Copetti is a
No.
DP, but and that probably won't be the case. It will probably be Enzo up top. But I right now I would want Pat up top. I would want Vargas on the left, Abada on the right, and then Brecht in the middle. He's wearing the number 10.
Yep.
He needs to also do more. Like he's won all season long that I've been needing more from. So
Yeah.
again, I think Abada really helps put the pieces all in place now, honestly.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think for me, the only thing I'd switch, I would still put Copetti up top, and I think you can absolutely make an argument for putting Patrick up there. Like I see that argument 100%. I still think with Copetti being hurt for a few games there, I'm not willing to totally write off where he can be yet. I feel like we saw some positive moments from him outside of some missed opportunities. So I'm still saying I would start him, but everything else with you, same thing. I think Breck should be that number 10. I hope he starts getting it together a little more, and maybe if he's consistently in that position, we start to see it come together. Um, but that's my four as well too. Just swap out Copetti for Patrick up top.
You know what's so funny? We're talking about subs. You know who didn't play and wasn't on in the squad? Scott Arfield. I mean, we're starting to get to a point where
Point.
we're getting so deep that I kind of forgot about Arfield as I
Yeah.
was thinking about that front four. And I'm like, like, because here's the thing, like when that DP comes in, my brain was kind of like thinking ahead, like, okay, we need probably a proper, legit cam. Okay, where does Breck then go? And then I was like, oh, where does Scott Arfield go? And I'm like, wait a minute, Scott Arfield wasn't even in the squad this week. So like those are good problems to have.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be pretty deep pretty soon. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped.
Uh, we have midfielders coming out of our ears right now. I mean, it's crazy. I feel like each year there's been like one position we've had just an absurd number of people at the position, and this right now it's midfielders. We are just like we have a glut of
Yeah.
midfield, which is again, I'm not mad about it. We've got different types of players for different types of moments and things that can come off the bench, but yeah, I don't know where you start to try to figure out how to share playing time around those players, and especially when again Bronico came in for what the last like 2 minutes of stoppage time. He's been hurt all season, so you add him into the mix as someone else who can
Yeah.
come in off the bench there. So there's a lot there. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say actually I got a chance to talk to Bronico a little bit after the game. And you could tell he was very excited to be back. He looks
Yeah.
good, feels good, like he's ready to go. I think he wanted some more minutes, of course, but it's a process and baby steps. But again, like we're super deep in the middle. And then if you look at the back line, Jalen Lindsey is not playing. He hasn't
Right.
played.
Yeah.
Bill has not played.
Right.
Diop, Jao Pedro's started one game, so it's not. I mean, we're a little thinner in certain areas, but man, like we're starting to really round out this squad. Ben Bender's not back. Brandon Cambridge is not back. And so I mean, like I'm I got these tingles again. I'm feeling good over here.
Yeah, we need to like have a reality check. We need somebody to be like the wet blanket on this podcast right now to calm us down a little bit because we're being way too excited about where things
That's
are going
true. That's
after a
true.
draw. But related
That's
to what you
true.
just said, actually, I'm going to jump ahead. Charlotte FC fan, I believe this is from Twitter, says, "Who do you think Dean Smith is looking at for his last 2-3 signings for the squad? Who would you like to see him add to the team, or what kind of player even would you see? Because you talked about we've got a lot of those pieces, but there are still a couple missing parts there. And obviously, we have the summer window coming up. We have a DP slot. So where do you see those last couple signings maybe for Dean to fill out the squad going?"
Yeah, I still think we need a playmaker. We keep saying that, so I think you still go for that. But also to bolster the squad, I think you do need to think about another center back,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe another right winger.
Yeah,
Maybe again, Brandon. I'm not really sure how Brandon's gonna, fit into this whole squad. But you could go there too because I think on the left you got Tavares, you got Vargas.
yeah,
I think you're okay there. You got a bottle on the right, but you might need someone in there, and it could be Brandon. I don't know. So that's a good problem for the front office to have. Like, okay, we're actually kind of set. Where do we really
yeah.
need someone? Is it a striker? Oh my God, we have Tiger Smalls too that hasn't been playing. I saw him. We have Scardinia, dude. We have like that's the thing. Like, I keep forgetting about folks as we're talking. I saw Scardinia in the tunnel Saturday. Yeah, so you got all these players that are kind of like in the wings waiting. So
Yeah. We're getting more excited. We're going the wrong direction of what I was saying we needed to do. We're getting more excited about the team. This is a problem. It's a real problem.
all you gotta do is
Uh,
go on Facebook if you want a wet blanket. That's all you gotta do.
no,
Go on one of
thanks. I'm
those
good.
fan groups.
I'm good. I'm good. Actually, that might be a good segue into the next series of questions I'm going to talk about. I'm notoriously not very active in Slack or on. I'm definitely not on Twitter anymore. I mean, I'm there, but I'm not. Um,
Yeah.
so I tend to avoid some of these moments, but you're much more well versed in what's happening on the very rational, level-headed, not hyperbolic at all internet about soccer reactions. So there was a lot of questions about Copetti in our
Oh yeah.
submitted questions here. I'm not going to read all of them because they're all kind of the same thing. I'll read a few. One because I thought it was funny. Russell Varner. I'm assuming it's Russell Varner because David just gave me a first name, but I can't imagine it'd be
Yeah.
another Russell. Says if Copetti saved a bag of puppies and kittens from being run over by a semi truck, why would people still find a way to be mad at him for, I don't know, staying on the ground too long after pulling them out of the way? I just really enjoyed that. We don't have to actually answer that question.
No,
But
I
there's
I
some
do
more.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I actually I wanna take a stab at this because, there was a lot of debate in our Mint City Collective, Slack about, Copetti in that moment where he didn't shoot and everybody really jumping on him. And then other people were coming and saying, hey, why all the venom towards him all the time? So I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate a little bit because I can kind of see both sides. I think the reason why people don't jump on someone like Patrick as much is because, when Copetti got here, he spent a lot of time on the ground and complaining and didn't really body language wise.
Yeah,
I didn't like what I was seeing early on.
yeah,
He wasn't really jiving with the rest of the players. I think there was more to it than just missing opportunities. I think that's some of it. Now, this year, you've got to start giving him a chance. You mentioned Corey earlier. He was the first person to run over to Gianni. Like, I think his attitude has changed. I think he's in a better spot. You got to give him a little bit of grace. You can't just throw him under the bus every time he does something wrong. That's not fair. And if you're going to do that, you got to do that for all the players. That's kind of my
yeah.
my thing. I have been super critical of Copetti. I am trying really hard this season to give him the benefit of the doubt and see if he can get going. I'm going to keep being critical, but I'm also going to be critical of everybody. I do have a soft spot for Patrick. So
Hmm.
I do get where people are like, hey, it's not fair to be criticizing Capetti and not Patrick or Vargas or whoever else as much. So I get that. But it was a very, very heated debate Saturday night after the game for sure.
Yeah, no, there are several other things related to that. One, I'll pull this up. Lynn made the point that if you compare Copetti to Swiderski in 2023, taking away the PKs for Carroll, their goals per 90 are pretty close. We have a new team, a new manager, a new system. Shouldn't we lay off having to find a villain for a while? And I think that maybe is the way I've been looking at it a little bit this year is like I'm kind of because I got frustrated with Capetti a lot last year. I was, if not on the record
Mhm.
here, on the record with anybody who could hear me yelling in the stands. I was not happy with him a lot of times the way he played last year. But I wanted to enter this season being like, okay, he's had a year. He had a really, last season was tough one for a lot of reasons. Now he's here. He's got a new coach. He's got a new system. He's got some more talent around him. Let's give him the chance. So I've kind of started with a clean slate for Copetti. That's the way I'm looking at it. That's why I still would start him and keep giving him chances for now to see where he goes. To just see if he can, because we brought him in for a reason. He's scored a
Mm.
bunch of goals where he was previously. So like I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and see how it goes. But yeah, you're right. I think he hurt himself as far as fan perception goes with some of the antics last year and the way he reacted to things and the body language and all that.
Mm.
But for now, I'm kind of coming at it from a clean slate perspective, like Lynn is here in this question.
Yeah, I think there's some residual animosity from last season because things were not going well last season.
Yeah,
People are angry at the coach. People are just angry in general. They
yeah,
wanted that. They really, I think a lot of people thought the second year we were going to blow the doors off of folks and really make a playoff push, and we're going to get a lot better, and we weren't.
yeah,
And in some instances, we were worse. And then, yeah, we started looking for villains, I think. And he was one of them. He was one of probably the easiest ones to go to. I remember Swiderski was kind of that way too when he
yeah.
first got here.
He
He,
was.
flop a lot, and he got a lot of crap for it. But I think the theme is just this year. Let's show a little more grace, I guess, and see what he can do,
Yeah,
and let him prove himself.
yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I guess the last I'll throw in one more Enzo question, because it's not quite on the same vein of what we've already talked about from Joe. Says not I'm not an Enzo hater and I hope he gets going, but as a DP, if he doesn't have a significant goal tally by the transfer window, should the team consider moving on from him?
Oh yeah, no, that's a good question because we were talking about, okay, where do we go next with this DP? I'm thinking that signing will be in the summer, so maybe you do get to. I first off, I think we might make a move in April. I don't know what that will be, but I'm maybe hearing rumblings that there could be something coming.
Okay.
I don't know that it will be DP, so don't get super pumped about all that. I mean, get pumped about the signing. But, so that DP signing may not be till the summer. You could get to the summer and look at Enzo's production at that time and be like, "Okay, we've tried this, time to move on," and then that's where
Yeah.
you go get your DP striker. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we are in a good spot with Brecht as the number 10 with the other pieces that we have, so he doesn't have to carry that full burden, of always
Yeah.
producing. So yeah, we'll just have to see. It's a really, really good question, and, the summertime is probably when that's gonna be answered.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. That was a little tease for that April news that I'm now excited about, and see if I can wheedle out of you when we go off air here. Let's
Mhm.
see. Go back to Russell. He did ask a second question after his more lighthearted. I don't know if lighthearted is the right word. His jokey question about Copetti. He says, on a more serious note, when you played, if you did, I did not. What would you do to get yourself out of a mental funk like Vargas is in? You did play. We've heard some of your soccer
Uh-huh.
exploits from high school. So what would you do to if you were in a little bit of a funk, not playing well, things not going the right way? What would you kind of do to reset yourself, if anything?
Well, I played more defensively, so I was back in the '90s. I played stopper, which
Yeah,
is really not a thing anymore. But so for Vargas, who plays more offensively, I think what he needs to do is just make good passes, get into good spots, be positive. If he just needs to stay positive. Even if he misses, don't get down. Congratulate other players, really get into it, really get yourself in a good mindset. Worry about that. Worry about putting good crosses in, making good crisp passes. Because he's not someone that has to score every game. We have people that are supposed to do that, right? He's more like setting things up. He's supposed to be whipping balls in. But again, I think he's probably going to be a little happier moving back on the left. So maybe that will help. And I think it's up to the coaching staff and our captain to say, hey, you're going to go through moments like this. You just have to go out there again and again and again, and it will happen. He's putting
Yeah.
himself in good spots.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And I think that's what the coach needs to tell him. Like, hey, let's look at this game film. You're putting yourself in good spots. All you got to
Yep.
do is start finishing these things. That's it. That's it. But keep getting in those spots. Don't put your head down. Keep getting in those good spots.
No, I agree. I mean, I think the last point is what I was going to say too. Is I think if I'm a coach on the team, or if I'm a teammate, or Ashley or whoever, highlighting the positives of what he's doing, and that's like you said, getting in the right spots, playing nice balls in. Like he's not playing incredibly poorly. It's the finishing that's been really really poor, but he's been doing
That's
some
it.
other nice
Yeah.
things, and highlight that, and be like, it'll come. Don't get in a funk about it, but just keep doing it. You're putting yourself in the right place, and these will start falling in, and all of a sudden you're going to be scoring your bunches. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right. Couple more questions. I like this one from I don't know if it's bits or bits. I'm gonna go bits because it's all caps. Do you know? I don't know if this stands for something. This again, David, even though he's not here with us, he's down surfing at the beach. He compiled the questions, so I have no idea who this is from, but it says bits from Twitter. Whoever you are, ask. I thought it was an interesting question. I like this question a lot. Do you see a
Yeah.
difference between fans and supporters when it comes to soccer?
Oh man, this is such a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference. One is not better than the other one. Let me first say that. If you're not in the supporter group, it does not mean that you're less of a fan. If you're in a supporter group, it does not make you more of a fan. So let
Yep.
me start there. I think the difference is when you're in a supporter group, you're more in a bubble. I enjoy it. I think it's great. You're also more involved when it comes to game day activities, pre-game rituals, in-game rituals, and everything like that. And supporters, they work their butts off to help create this stuff.
Yep.
Fans are a little more removed. They also are not sure everything that's going on. They have their opinions, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good ones. Sometimes you just want to scream. Um, I think what fans need to try to do, even if they're not in the supporter group, is find ways to contribute when they do have ideas. It can't just be like yelling on the internet, though.
Yeah.
There's, tifo design, there's chant practice, there's practice, and you don't necessarily have to be in a support group at all to do those things. So I encourage people, maybe if you're listening, you're not in a group, you can still do those things. What's frustrating for me, just personally, is that the folks that work their butt off every single day trying to create all this stuff, it gets crapped on by certain people that don't lift a finger to do anything. They're just on the internet yelling, saying how bad it sucks. And after one game, they're like, "This is horrible. This is the worst thing ever." The Pepsnon, or however you want to say that, which is the correct thing, by the way. That is the name of everybody turning around backwards, hopping up and
Wait.
down.
Hold on. Hold on. I didn't know this. What is
The,
what is it?
the it's you have the Poznan, right?
Right.
So you could call it that, the Poznan. That's the official word. If you want to stick
Oh,
with
and
that,
we're
that's
we're
totally
combining that
legit.
with Pepis to call it the
Pepis,
Pepsman. Is that what we're
right?
doing? Okay. All right.
Yes. So either one of those is fine. Anything else is incorrect. I'm sorry. You guys could come at me, whatever. Anything else is absolutely incorrect. Because again, Matt Chantry is one of the ones that help create this whole entire thing. So again, like someone creating it and then other people trying to name it and do all this other stuff. But anyway, um,
Yeah.
we are in the third year. 3 years it has taken for this thing to get around the whole entire stadium. So when something doesn't come off the first game, give it some time, cut it some slack, right? It might be kind of
Yeah.
cringy at the beginning. When we first did this ritual of everybody turning around, jumping up and down, there were a ton of people that did not like it. A ton of people
Yeah.
did not like this. They thought it was stupid. People all over the world were saying how cringy it was. Why are you turning your back to the game? Like, what a blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Everybody had something to say about it. But let me tell you what, Saturday night was amazing.
Hmm.
Everybody in that stadium was doing it. It is fun as
It was
hell.
so cool.
You just have to give it some time. Because look, David, who is normally on the show, he was a big proponent of brain stew, this thing that we do at halftime. He's not on the show, so I can admit this. It's not my favorite thing, but I like how much David likes it. And I
Mm,
like how much effort he's helped putting into this. And I like how much effort everybody else has put into this. That's why I like it.
yeah.
I'm willing to give it time.
Yep.
Just because it didn't come off once or twice or 3 times doesn't mean it can't be a thing. So, I get a little frustrated sometimes when people kinda crap on hard work that other people put in. But again, if you're a fan, you may not know what's going on behind the scenes. So,
Right.
there's definitely a difference.
That gets into what I was going to say, and I think you nailed the answer. The only thing I was going to add is I would encourage people who find themselves more in the fan category, who aren't members of supporters group, don't sit in the supporters section. Even if they have season tickets, take the time to look into, I mean, even just learning the songs and chants. Like they usually throw up a QR code some point during the
Mhm.
match. It's on the scarf you
Yeah.
got as a season ticket holder. I believe that QR code takes you to the chants, if I'm not wrong about that. um he's gonna point to it on the video behind him. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like there's a lot of ways, like, to even little things, like even if you don't want to get involved with the drums or get involved with tifo, just like, to me, you're right. Like the role of the supporters and the supporters groups are to set the atmosphere and the culture within the stadium. And part of that are the songs and the chants that we sing. And so, like, as a fan, we can learn some of those. When you hear the supporters group singing it, get into it also, and have that. Because what I would love to see more is having the chants and songs spread more around the stadium. Because again, we've talked about this
Yeah.
much times. I sit basically straight across from the supporters group. I sometimes can hear what's happening over there, but not often. It's because it's
Yeah.
just it's isolated to those sections. And I would love to see at least,
Right.
Mighty Black and Blue, or just some of the major ones start to spread
Mhm.
around to where you hear that from more sections than just the supporters groups. Little things like that to just kind of understand, like, there's a lot of people putting in work behind the scenes to write these, to come up with this, to decide how we're going to do certain things, and like get into it. I
Yep.
mean, that's what helps build the culture within the stadium and makes it one of the most fun places, I think, to watch a match. And maybe and as we're growing it, it maybe one of the hardest places to play, to come in there and have a crowd
Yeah.
that's like that. So I think it's a huge part of it, just to buy into it
Y
and help spread that around.
yeah, one thing too, and I hate to be long-winded, but I think it's important to know, uh, if you're a fan, you're not in a support group, how this kinda works is each supporter group has 2 representatives that sit on the supporter council, and that's the president and vice president. So, for Mint City Collective, that's Becca Mitchum, and she's the president, and then me, I'm the vice president. So, we represent Mint City Collective, and you have all the supporter groups that also have their representatives, right? So, we have to get into a Slack channel ourselves, and we have to agree on all of the pre-game stuff, post-game stuff, everything that happens, the march, how the tailgate lot is laid out, all these little things that I don't think people realize, but we have to
Yeah.
do it together. So, like, if someone has an idea and you're on social media and you put it on Twitter and be like, I don't understand why it's not this, like, it's so easier said than done, because even if it's a good idea, or I think it's a good idea, I then have to take it to the council and be like, hey, all these other groups, I know we just started Brain Stew, but someone wants to change the lyrics. What do you think? I'm like, well, we've put it on the jumbotron, and like it's our it takes
Yeah.
a lot of effort to get anything changed, and everybody has to agree to it because it is a vote, right? So it's not as easy as just snapping your fingers, and it happens the next weekend. So a lot has to go into it, but everything like the flags, what chants we do, how we're going to do them, the trumpets that are introduced at the 75th minute now. We're starting to try to like implement that.
Hmm.
Maybe you caught wind of that a little bit this game, but it's the
Yeah.
second game we've done it. The first game, really, people couldn't hear it. That was the feedback we got, so we added a few more. I think they even tried to mic it a little bit this
Yeah.
time, which I don't I don't think the commissioner is going to like that too much. But
Shh. We
hey,
didn't
he
say
wasn't
that.
at the game. Um, right. Um, so we're going. I mean, it takes a little bit to implement these new things. There might be one group that's really wanting to do a certain thing, so we try to do it. So again, like I hope fans will be a little show a little bit of grace and be like, okay, that wasn't the best, but don't like crap on it. Like
Yeah.
like give it a go. Give it a little bit. So,
Yeah.
but that was an excellent question. I'm glad they asked it
Yeah.
because I don't think a lot of people know kind of what goes on behind the scenes. But again, I will emphasize that if you're not in a supporter group, it does not mean that you're less of a fan. You could be just
Nope.
as big of a fan as anybody else that's in a supporter group.
100%. Agreed. Speaking of chants, we have two more questions. These are more on the fun side. Jay asks, what's your new favorite chant and why is it a Beatles song?
So, uh, uh,
I'm sure this is going to
I
need
don't know
some
if I
context.
I don't know if I have a yeah. um, there is a kind of a new chant that we are again trying to implement. We do this at Crown Legacy. It's like me and you, the black and blue. I'm not going to sing because I'm a horrible singer. That's why you won't catch me in the sports section. No one wants to hear me sing. I'm the world's worst singer. But that's kind of what Jay's talking about. It's a newer chant, and again,
Yeah.
we tried it last game. It didn't come off as well. But again, you have to kind of work that in. But it is a good one. And again, scan your QR code on your scarf, scan it at
Yeah.
the stadium. Yeah, it'd be nice for the rest of the stadium to start reading this and start trying to pick it up, because this would be really, really cool if the whole stadium starts doing the chants with the supporter section.
This is a really random aside. But I wonder if it's not random aside, but going on a bit of a tangent. Now that, season ticket holders are able to go to this away match, the new offering this year, I imagine I haven't been to mine yet. I'm going to Montreal. I'm assuming that these away
Oh,
tickets,
nice.
yeah, Montreal's gonna be fun. We're excited about that. They put you in the away supporters, group, right? And so I think about like my wife, who's never gone or sat in a supporter section, hasn't gone on an away trip before. This will probably be like her first and only time, and who knows that there might be like three of us at Montreal. I don't know. It's kind of a random pick, but we're excited about to go into the city. But like, tell me, because you went to Nashville, I know, and have done some of the other things. Like, I'm assuming that this might be some people who are more of the fans and don't sit in supporter sections first time maybe being in a group that's going to
Mm.
sing and chant and be standing up and be a little more involved. Do you feel like that's accurate to say? Because I think that could be an
Ye-
interesting moment for them to kind of understand, like, oh, this is what they're doing over there. I can actually hear the words now. I understand what's going on here, and might see that spread around. I don't know. I literally just thought this off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Not thought through at all, but I wonder if that might help build that culture a little bit.
Yeah, no, it can, and it can be a little overwhelming if you're not used to it, and especially if you don't know the words.
Yeah.
You have everybody around you kind of like saying it, so you just have to learn it. But that's where people that are in supporter groups need to be a little mindful too. If you have someone that's not chanting, don't turn around and yell at them because they're not
Yeah,
singing.
please.
They may not
Please.
know the words. They may be like me who can't sing at all. So just, you know, be nice and have fun and teach and learn. But yeah, if you're in that section, like get into it and like start kind of learning it. It's a lot of fun once you learn the lyrics and can sing some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a lot different sitting in that type of section, and it could definitely be a little overwhelming.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. All right. Speaking of
Yeah.
singing, our last question. Roy Coles asks, "What's your favorite jingle from a commercial?" And if you need time to
Oh my
think, I
gosh.
I do have an answer for this first, so I can give mine first if you
Oh,
need me to stall for you a little bit.
there's so many like 80s and 90s ones. But go ahead. What do you
Yeah.
got?
Yeah, mine's a throwback, and it's from this is probably like a throwback and also a regional reference because I don't know how many of these there were around, and I can't remember if you were on when we were talking about this before, or if it was me and David talking about it before a show one time. But mine's the Omega Sports jingle. You remember Omega
Omega,
Sports? Yeah, like
Omega,
that. I
and it had
think they
like
were
the
maybe like a
tennis
North
ball, like
Carolina.
whoosh.
Yes, that was the best
Yeah,
part. It's not
I
only
know
the
exactly
Omega,
what
the
you're talking about. Yeah,
Omega. Oh my god. But yes, they had the percussion in the middle where it was like all the different
yeah,
like sports sounds. So it was like a slap shot in hockey and like a tennis racket ball and like a
yeah.
baseball bat. Did like a little drum fill in the middle of it. I mean, it was beautiful. I think about that jingle way more often than I probably should for a I think now defunct sporting goods chain.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
that's
yeah.
where my head
Oh god.
goes.
I am absolutely blanking on commercials. There's so many, especially from like my childhood that I remember. Because I feel like the 80s and like early
Mhm.
90s were
Yeah.
just like that's all it was just like jingles. You don't really
Yeah.
have those really anymore.
No.
Um, I remember the "Uh-oh, better get Mako" um, ads. I feel like there's so many I'm just missing.
I
I
feel
should
like
have done
always the
some
best are
research
like
before.
your really like random local companies that has had like, really terrible
Yeah.
insidious jingles that you still remember now. It's like it's
Do
amazing.
you remember do you remember Where's the Beef? The old Arby's commercials?
That's not to age
"Where's
you,
the
but that's
beef?"
slightly before my time. Like I know what you're talking about, but I don't know how old I was when that was a
Uh,
thing.
yeah, I was young when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No. It's good
good
stuff. Good
question.
question,
Roy
Roy, to
so
end us
for
on a
everybody
fun
who wants
question.
to know, Roy is the one who always asks the most ridiculous questions. He's the one that asked the sloth commercial question before. Um, so yeah, Roy's the one who always throws in the bizarre ones. So
Yeah, this is the
if you
most
want to know,
reasonable question we've gotten from him. Like this felt like a more
yeah,
straightforward,
that's
fun
true.
question and not a really alarming choice to have to make. So I appreciate that question
Yeah,
and always giving us something fun to end on an otherwise very positive, maybe too positive show from me and Matt here. So before we go, Matt, anything else you want to say or mention or chime in about?
no, I don't think so. It was a fun game. It's been a fun season so far. Really looking forward to seeing what we do the rest of the year. But yeah, I'm positive. I'm going to stay positive until I see something different.
I agree. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We will see you on Saturday at Salud. Come hang out with us, say hi. Let's watch the boys go get 3 points, and we'll have a good time together. So we'll see you then.